I've slept in boxing gyms, I slept in my kitchen. I had to make a lot of sacrifices, be broke for a very long time. You just have to do the work, put your head down and grind.
Hey everybody, how you doing? We're back here at the FYI podcast, Finding Your Inspiration, where we find our inspiration and we follow it. Today we're at Right Mealz here in Long Beach, California. We're with the founder and the owner, Chris, and we're going to learn a little bit about his company and what his why is behind it. But just from what I know so far, I tried the food, I tried the protein shakes, they're incredible. So if you're in the Long Beach area, make sure you come down here. Get your gains, get your macros. Chris, how you doing?
Good, good. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you guys coming all the way down here.
Congratulations on the opening of the restaurant.
Thank you.
So yeah, let's just kind of jump into quickly, kind of just a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? And
I grew up in San Clemente, down in South Orange County.
Yep.
Then moved to San Juan Capistrano. I always grew up playing sports. That was like my main escape from everything. That was my outlet for everything. Okay. So out of high school, I went directly to Long Beach State. Ran track there, ran the 200, 400 meter, part of the relay team as well. And then, so that's how I ended up in Long Beach.
Cool. So you come up, you get out of school, and tell us a little bit about your business, Right Mealz. What led you to doing this, and what's your reasons behind it?
So August will be 8 years when I first started the concept of Right Mealz. We opened up this location January 30th of this year is my first day of officially business. It all started, honestly, like it just in my little house kitchen. It was a bunch of trials and errors that I went through. And right out of college, I got into real estate. Real estate was really difficult for me. I ended up having my car repossessed a couple times. Struggling was real. Just struggling was real, man. I couldn't pay my phone bill. I was always relying on Wi-Fi to send text messages out. There was this moment where I was, saving like the chicken, broccoli, and rice, but I was like rationing it for the week. Mm-hmm. And back then there wasn't really a thing called meal prep. I mean, it was just kind of coming out, This was like nine years ago maybe. And this guy in my office in Diamond Bar, his name was Wally, and he said, "Hey Chris, you have all this food. Can you please, make that food for me that you were bringing in the office?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." I think I had like negative 140 in my account or something. So he Venmoed me money, and I just had the right amount of money to get the food to make 10 meals for him. I remember I Ubered out there to Diamond Bar, couldn't get an Uber back. I was super prideful too. I never told anyone, I didn't have a car or anything. So I remember I reached out to a buddy of mine and he got me an Uber back home. And I got on Wi-Fi because I couldn't get on my phone. And here I am, I'm back at the house and on Wi-Fi, and I had all these notifications on Facebook from this photo that Wally posted of my food. And next thing you know, I had all these people reaching out to me, "Can you make that food for me?" And here I am going back and forth to Ralph's. It was Ralph's where I was going to get the food.
Wow.
So it took about 3 weeks once that first order came through that I was able to afford to get my car out of repo.
Wow.
Get in my car, and I remember just breaking down, and I was like, shoot, do I go back to real estate, or do I continue this, because this is constant like flow of money coming in that I desperately need? And the purpose of doing these meals was just to live. I was just stuck. I was a college athlete. I was just kind of depressed in my moment, just no purpose in my life. From there, I started making food. Right Mealz just started, progressively getting bigger and bigger. And during those 8 years, I've slept in boxing gyms. I slept in my kitchen. I didn't have a car for 4 years. I was borrowing cars to get deliveries out. I was Ubering deliveries. People thought I was killing it. People thought I was this major big company.
Yeah.
So that's how where we're at today.
That's incredible, man. We love those stories, especially here on FYI, because, it was a side hustle. This literally started from, it sounds like you're at a point in life, like a lot of us have been in that are watching this, right? Especially you go off to college, you have these dreams, maybe these ambitions, I don't know, you're a collegiate athlete, maybe things are going to be different, but even not for athletes. That happens for most of us. Like, we all have a vision of what things are going to be when we hit our 20s, let alone 30s. And then sometimes life takes us in another way. And it sounds like you're at that point, you're at a dead end point. You're on Wi-Fi. I'm a spiritual man, as everybody knows. I believe I call them God shots, but it's really like a friend posted a picture.
Yeah.
You start getting some movement. So it wasn't even really a plan, but at that moment, which what we like to talk about, it's like that's a crossroad, right?
Yeah.
You've seen something like, there's an avenue, or I could keep going down the same avenue.
Yes.
And you decided to go into the darkness, the unknown, and be optimistic and try something new.
I call it blind faith.
Blind faith.
Yeah, that's what I've always called it, blind faith. And
I like that.
My favorite quote that I've always lived by is there's always a light at the end of a dark tunnel.
Yes.
Another thing too is I went to rehab twice during this whole process. So
wow, okay.
During the 8 years of doing this, like I said, I had no purpose. So I was just making this food for people, and I was drinking a lot. I was partying, and then it got to a point where I was just kind of like drinking, doing drugs by myself, alone, dark. I checked myself in twice. At that point, plus I was like in my early 20s, mid 20s. I'm 33 now.
Right.
So a lot has changed over the years. But it was
definitely.
Yeah. So there was just a lot of growing that I had to do. I had to really just search for, some purpose in my life, and
you found your why.
Yeah, there was my why, yeah.
Now let me ask you, so now we're here, you're meal prepping. So for those who are not familiar, I wasn't familiar with meal prepping. Like you said, it's fairly new. Up until a couple years ago, I wasn't on to meal. Now I meal prep my own meals. Meal prepping is so important. It's becoming popular. For those watching the podcast that don't know what meal prepping is, right, it's having your meals already weighed out. One important thing is, especially if you're in fitness, which I've been on a journey now, is getting your macros. And what Right Mealz does is they absolutely get your meals with the protein you need, the carbs. You could track what you're putting in your body.
It's just the convenience of it. Meal prep is just convenience. There's a lot of people out there that are so busy with their schedules. People that don't want to cook, go to the grocery store, do dishes. They're running out, taking their kids to football, baseball, and then you have your husband or your wife, or, just a bunch of, obstacles in life that really disrupt the way people eat food.
How much do you see that it helps the everyday family, not just the athlete, but the everyday family that's like, it's saving them time?
Yeah, I mean, you're saving time and money. Time is more importantly because, nowadays you get home from your, let's say you're working a 9-hour shift, you come home, there's 2 hours that you can save, from cooking and prepping, spending time with your family, and then you have these meals, you just pop it in on a stovetop or a microwave, and then here you go. You have a hearty, balanced meal ready to eat.
Yep.
And then also, it's just healthy. In the States, convenience is unhealthy food.
Right.
A lot of, you have just a lot of fast food out there, things that are easy to grab, it's not really healthy.
Right.
So I wanted to change that concept and, just make it convenient for the customers and easy access to healthy food. Right Mealz, we created the concept of one-stop shop. You can get juices, smoothies. Our meal prep options are available here as well in the grab-and-go fridge. Nice. All of our online orders are placed online. They can pick it up from here. And then we also have a full separate dine-in menu that's all healthy, dairy-free, gluten-free. Nice. So we just, just the convenience of it, I think. And
now people could order their meals by the week, correct?
Yeah, so we get people that will go online and they'll order by the week. We get people that sign up for the subscription plan. The subscription plan is usually the easiest one for our clients. They get reminder text messages to go on, select their meals. Nice. I'm sure you guys are getting your text messages. By the way, those are actually hand sent by me. So a lot of people think it's an automatic.
Really?
Yeah, so I go through, I'll sit for 2 hours and hand text, and when people respond, I respond. I've always been hands-on with everything I've done. I think that's why we've been so successful, is because I've always been hands-on with everything.
I love that. That's actually incredible to know, because I saw one of our producers, Norma Flores, she's the reason we're here today. Norma had found Chris and through a network, also one of her trainers and her recovery doctor that she goes to. So they kind of got like a really cool circuit here in Long Beach. So, promoting that whole movement, right? This is all, it's nutrition, it's your exercise, it's your recovery. There's so many facets to healthy living, but Norma brought us to Chris. So I just wanted to shout Norma out for that.
Thank you, Norma. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and I must admit, I tried. Norma was doing these meal preps for a while, and the food is incredible. I'm serious, it's incredible. It's almost when you're eating it, you're like, this can't be healthy. Yeah. It's that good. So please try it, especially if you're in the area. Okay, I wanted to kind of segue into your new business here. So you're open. How is that going? What do you find your main target? I know you got some NFL players that stuff or whatever you could talk about, who you're providing these services for.
Yeah, so it all started, I want to say 4 years ago is when we got our major deal with an NFL agency that we worked directly with. They would send me all their clients that would get ready for the NFL Combine Draft. So it'd be like an 8-week period, and we would prep for like 14 guys. Wow. They're all now NFL athletes. It was just from there, just a rolling ball effect that people started hearing about us, all the different NFL agencies that are located, a majority of them are located in Southern California. Some of the top coaches are here in Southern California. Yeah, it's just, you just do a good job. I said, hands-on. I've been hands-on with everything. I've created great relationships with a lot of these coaches, trainers, NFL agencies, and just do your job. Just do a good job, That's all they want. They want service.
You just mentioned doing a good job, doing good work begets work, right? So I want to really punch out from my audience a lot how important that is to have your hands on it and to do good work for people. How much has that led to your growth?
I think this new age and generation, a lot of people want things given to them. A lot of people want the easy route to get to that goal that they have in mind. Nothing in life that you want that's just awesome or, just amazing or whatever that's in your mind, it's not easy to obtain. You just have to do the work, put your head down and grind. I got to a point in my life where I realized too, my sphere of influence, like who I'm surrounded by, like who's going to help me get to where I'm at today and who's not going to help me. And I literally don't really have that many friends anymore just because I filter out a lot of people that were just toxic in my life. You know? I think just going back, it's just, just have that, keep your head down and just work. You're going to hit obstacles. I mean, everybody in life hits obstacles. Right. Everybody has problems. Don't be in this pity mode. I think one of my biggest mistakes was being stuck in a pity mode sometimes. Yeah. You got to realize there's people out there that have it way worse than you, 10 times worse than you, Right. Just got to go for it. Like I said, too, blind faith,
Blind faith, because you hear it a lot from the greats, right? That talk about the young generation being weaker than we were. And in a lot of ways, I see that, but I also see there's so much potential. And if you're young out there, if you're 17, 18, 19, 20 watching this, know that take the lessons from people like Chris, right? That are saying you put the work in now, build it. It's definitely going to pay off. I've never sat down with anybody that has done the work and made the sacrifice that have failed. You know that?
Yeah.
Never have I met anybody that failed. And I was always raised that, hey, you take a shot, you may fail. Now, you may not get the results that you imagine. That's not failing, right?
You're just one step closer to those
One
results.
step closer, right. And sometimes the results end up being even more beautiful than you imagine.
And I'll probably have a failure today. Like every failure I think that you come across, it just makes you stronger.
Now, for someone out there that's thinking, man, I'm nice. I'm really good with my meal preps and I'll never have the money to open a business. If you don't mind, did you do a traditional? Did you go through did you get loans for this? Did you save up money? Did you get investors?
Yeah, we got, I wouldn't say 2 years ago, we did get an investor to help us with some of the funding for bags, labels and all that stuff. We got our delivery van. But a lot of this, just been coming out of my pocket. All the money just been filtering back into the business.
Right.
Honestly, I probably haven't given myself a paycheck in 8 months. Everything just comes back and filters back into the business. Yeah. And opening this up, it's like we're starting all over. Our rapport with the neighbor and the community in the city of Long Beach. We just had a very, very strong online presence. And it's a big difference. With your storefront. So huge difference. Online presence is everywhere in Southern California, but now we're trying to win the community over and provide them great and exceptional service, and that's what we're working on right now.
Because I know your social media is strong, so how much does that play? What's the investment like in social media to get that going? Was that high or?
No, honestly, I've always had a good eye. I'm pretty artsy myself, and I do all the content myself. I've always done it myself. I have a a family friend and a family member that helped me with, video content, and
Nice.
and then also just the athletes that we have representing us. The athletes that use our food. Like I said, we've worked directly with NHL teams. I think we're up to 7 now. We're working directly with Olympic teams, NFL players, Major League Baseball players, Olympic volleyball players. It's just all these. Yeah. We have a big sphere of influence that support Right Mealz, and I'm able to kind of utilize them, and they're able to help me out with my marketing as well. But then we have some that really understand like how hard it was for me, that've been with me for a very long time. Like shout out Alexander Madison, running back for the Vikings. That guy's awesome.
Nice.
Really cool athletes out there that really just want to support a small business.
Yeah.
Because that's it. We're a small business. We compete against major companies. I have people that, we're using so-and-so. I won't name drop companies, but we're using so-and-so, and I'm like, well, we're not them. They're national. They're nationwide, and then they try us out and they like us way better than that company because we're hands-on.
Right.
Yeah.
That's another important thing. I'm a big advocate of supporting local. Like the gym I go to, it's a local. My barber's a veteran-owned right by my house. So that's another thing. It's important, I think, for us. We talk about getting strength and building our communities up, but then we want to go to the big stores that have everything at once instead of the mom and pops. And there's something important about supporting local business owners. And so just shouting out the local business owners and people watching to go support that. That's how we pick each other up and we definitely level up to the next levels.
Absolutely.
Now, would you say that's a great to get into the economics of it? Are those contracts with these like sport teams and stuff critical?
Like I said, we do work with a lot of sports teams. We just recently locked in working with USA's water polo team.
Nice.
Just these contracts just help us. Wouldn't necessarily say they're contracts; they just order in bulks from us. We never really signed contracts. They just always came back.
Yeah.
You just give them good service and they'll come back.
They keep coming.
That says a lot about your business too. That you don't need to lock someone in for a service.
True.
If you can get them to keep coming back on their own will, that just says a lot. We definitely rely on the bigger subscription plans, the bigger orders. Like we've had orders where 1,000 meals.
Wow.
That was tough. We've had some 400 meal orders, 500 meal orders. It's a lot of work too. It's like a 3-day process, 4 days, because you have to order the product from your vendors, and you have to prep it, then you have to cook it, then you have to plate it, then you have to ship it out. It's a lot of work. Yeah.
I like to interview people that are doing stuff that are actually making a change in the world positive, and I think you're one of those. You're providing a wholesome, good service, and how does that feel? How does that feel to know that you're helping?
Well, Right Mealz changed my life. Everything about it has changed my life in a positive way, and I just want to share this concept with the people out there and help them change their life, but as opposed to giving them healthy food, healthy drinks, and just a healthy service in general. Just like from the beginning, literally I was just in the darkest, suicidal thoughts too at some points in my life. I was deep in the hole. I've been to therapy. I was going to therapy 3 times a week.
Wow.
I was struggling just mentally, and just it saved me. It brought me some light in my life. It brought me a purpose in my life, and I just take all of that, and literally Right Mealz has just been all my heart, my blood, literally blood, tears.
Yeah.
And I just want to share, that light with the people out there. We get people that, not necessarily, you're not really talking about people who are unhealthy or anything. It's just people who just want to feel good about themselves. People who just want, to come in here and just have a good meal and be greeted by, smiles and great personality, and just give them a great experience with food. People love food.
Yeah, but also it's like you're one of the people on the front line right now that in this country with our obesity epidemic, I suffer from that. I've done 200-pound transformation. This is my 3rd one. I'm just down on, and the thing is, I'm a food addict. That's the bottom line. I'm a food addict. I'm not just, we say foodie as a joke, but I'm a food addict, and it's a dark place to be when you're addicted to food and binging. And you're providing wholesome, clean food where it's a restaurant that like I could go, you know what, let me go eat there. Everything's weighed out and I can still feel like a normal person and enjoy a night out. You could go on a date. It doesn't have to be at a restaurant that serves terrible food. But so I just think I want to commend you for that, man, because you're providing that service where you could get a coffee and a protein shake. That's you get your macros in. So I just think that's dope, man. So I just want to commend you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate
and for anyone out there who just heard what Chris said, he was in a dark place, man, suicidal thought. But what did he do? He sought therapy. We've had therapists on this show. Mental health is such an important issue today. My generation, we didn't talk about it today. It's very in the front. If you need help, we usually have links on here, places you could call. But that's part of the work Chris did. You're in a dark place. Find the help. Do the things you need to do. Find something you love. And that could fulfill so much of the depression. He found a reason, a why. Right Mealz, something to keep him busy, which is great. I think we all need that in life. I want to segue into, before we close out though, where do you see Right Mealz going? What's the plan? You're here, are you expanding one day? What do you see it doing?
So we definitely expanding. One of our biggest feats was we locked in, we're working with Los Angeles Sports Entertainment Committee, so we've actually gained some contracts or just opportunities working with them. So we're able to big contracts for like the LA Olympics coming up. Wow. World Cup, just huge sporting events for LA. We're in this book of businesses that we're able to, support or bid on these contracts that they're presented to us.
Wow.
We're definitely expanding in the sports industry. And on top of that, we're actually probably looking into other locations, obviously. One of them will probably be Carlsbad, another one will be Thousand Oaks. Nice. And then the reason why I pinpoint those locations, because that's another, where other, sporting academies are, or, we go to Thousand Oaks all the time for deliveries. We want to have different locations for sure. Nice. That's probably going to be in the next 2 years or so.
Nice. Well, I'm wishing you good luck, man.
I appreciate that.
I have no doubt you're going to be successful. Look in the Right Mealz, guys. We'll put a link to the website on this, and if you're around here, definitely support local business. Try it out, give it a shot, and hope you got some out of today's episode. We're here with Chris, right? This is the Finding Your Inspiration, FYI, where we find our inspiration and we follow it, just the way Chris did. Thank you for coming on, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Click on the link and check out the next episode. We're sitting down with KARLA ELIZONDO. KARLA is a mental health therapist and a life coach. We're going to talk about a crucial issue, mental health. But we're also going to dig into her life coaching and how she's affected so many lives with her strategies. I learned a lot. You might too. FYI Podcast. No snooze button.
You should never stress about the problems you be facing. Everybody in the mud on the struggle trying to make it. Look into the mirror and you see the motivation. Then you step into the world and you find your inspiration. I'm finding inspiration, and once I get a hold of it, I'll never get complacent. Look into the mirror and you see the motivation. Then you step into the world and you find your inspiration.